Nitro.
Try to stop my praise. You can get it too. Devil in my way.
Welcome back to the Dr. Nahshon Nicks Show. I'm your host, and I'm fired up about this episode. No matter where you are in life, I believe everyone can say that they've been exposed to some type of trauma in one way, form, shape, or fashion. And I'm so excited for our guest on today. I need you to stay locked in, leaned in, tapped in, and tuned in throughout this entire episode. This is one you don't want to miss. And then I need you to like, share, and subscribe to the Dr. Nahshon Nicks Show, so that way you're not missing any of these great guest speakers, because the content is going to be very rich. So please show some love to someone that I know and love, and when I see him in the street, he know I will roll down that window and holler out, Pastor Marc Dickerson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pastor Nicks. Good to have you. Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
Yes. Real quick, I just want to give out this one definition according to the DSM-5. Trauma, exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence, whether directly witnessing it, learning that it occurred to a close family member or friend, or experiencing repeated or extreme exposure to adverse details of the event. That's the DSM's definition of trauma. Mm-hmm. But before we go into the weeds, what does that have to do with anything that you have coming up?
Well, thank you for asking that, Dr. Nicks. It has everything to do with that. And it's funny you read that definition. That's pretty lengthy. That's definitely not the one we use when we're talking to the community, talking to people, and I'll go into that later. But trauma, to your point, as you said before, we've all experienced some kind of trauma, whether it be vicarious, meaning coming through or from somebody else, whether it be childhood or post-childhood, right? Trauma is just the impact that these events have on the brain and the brain's ability or inability to process what happened, right? And that's important because here on October 17th, we're having this event called the Shepherd's Table. Okay. And the Shepherd's Table is all about bringing this conversation that is happening across the country right now in big evangelical spaces, big universities, about how trauma has impacted people, has impacted communities, and how we as leaders are helping people deal with that. The thing about this component, Dr. Nicks, is that this conversation has not been had a whole lot in our communities.
What does that mean, our community? Talk to me about that.
I'm glad you asked that question. So when I say our, I don't mean to be othering to anyone else, but our meaning BIPOC communities, right? Black, indigenous, people of color. And we know we are some of the most traumatized people on the planet. Mm-hmm. But this conversation has happened a lot in academic spaces, in big evangelical churches with people with a budget to bring in these amazing world-renowned speakers to talk about this, right? And it's kind of stuck there. But myself and several other people here in Jacksonville have been, for lack of a better term, the prophets of bringing this message to our communities where black people, brown people, non-white people are living, experiencing, and walking through their own traumatic events. So, yeah, this event is coming on the 17th. It's all about how it's impacted us.
All right. What happened, if you don't mind me asking, to where you seem like you sold out about this? You called me. You've done trainings with my executive team for our nonprofit, and I appreciate that training and support. However, but give me the backstory. Like, when did this happen? It was like you got baptized with fire. Like, we gonna fix trauma. Like, where does that fire come from?
I'm glad you asked that question, man. So actually, when I say this to people, it can sound a little bit sacrilegious. I don't mean it to sound like that, but I believe that this journey and this conversation is second to the gospel. This conversation about healing, helping people deal with what they've been through, it's parallel to the gospel. I'm not going to put it on par with the gospel, but it's absolutely in my life secondary. And for me, to your point, the reason why it's so personal to me is because I've had to do the work to kind of see how trauma has impacted my own life. Then I had to do the work to see how trauma has impacted my wife and my children, and how I've been the source of trauma for my own family. So digging into that has really opened my eyes. And this is not just a conversation I'm having, Dr. Nicks, to your point. This is how I see the world. I see the world through these trauma-informed lenses. And the way it started was a young lady who was no longer with us. She passed about 3 or 4 years ago, was a member of my church.
My condolences.
Thank you, man. And she, long story short, she and her husband are some of my best friends, adopted a young kid from Uganda. They are Caucasian, and of course he's black. And they brought this Ugandan kid into their home, and they already had a biological daughter. And they brought this kid into their home. You know, they're doing the right thing. They're just adopting through an agency that their church is plugged into. And they got this kid home at 3 years old. And they were doing all the right things, raising him all the right ways, in church, with the word, around God-fearing people, with standards. And all of a sudden they would see these behaviors show up in this 3-year-old kid. And they knew that we didn't teach him this. He's not getting it from here. He's too young to go to school. He's not getting it from school. Where's this stuff coming from? And that couple decided to get curious about what was showing up. They knew that the way they were raised, dealing with the tip of the iceberg. We typically talk about trauma in this space like an iceberg. And typically above the iceberg is just a small portion of what's going on, right? And most of us, most systems, most parents, most religions hurl their gospel at that.
Oh, we're going to pray about this.
Gonna pray about it, gonna preach over it. We're gonna even go deeper and cast it out. And very few people have the emotional intelligence to go beneath the surface, right? And just like any iceberg, we know there's more beneath the surface than on top of the surface. So this couple decided to get curious, like what is going on? Because the way that we were raised, our religion, our punitive type response to these behaviors is not working.
So I'm so glad. Man, let me tell you something. I work with some of our most at-risk youth in martial arts. And I apologize for cutting you off, but
It's okay.
there's a little person inside of me that's jumping up and down right now because if someone is daydreaming, or you know how you used to beat back in the day on the desk, and then the teacher like, stop beating. You do that again, I'm gonna put you out of class. But in reality, you don't even have a clue that you started beating because you're not even aware of what you're doing. And then instead of giving you an opportunity to modify or correct the behavior, punitive, I'm going to put you out. And then it becomes a constant cycle of putting you out. And what I share with parents, I never told any of your children to shut up, be quiet, or stop talking. I just asked them for their attention. And then I ask, are you aware of what you're doing? And 9 times out of 10, they come back with, I'm sorry, my bad, I apologize. Because that punitive stuff is like we're preparing everybody for prison
100%.
instead of actually helping them recover from the trauma that they've been through. Like, I'm just telling you, there's a small when is this event? When is this event? And how do people how do they register? How do they get there? Where is it at? Please tell my listening and viewing audience what's going on, because y'all got to get here, because you got a list of great speakers coming in as well.
Absolutely.
And if you can call out some of their names.
I will. So the event is on October 17th. It's called the Shepherd's Table. It's a one-day intensive for pastors, leaders, community influencers, parents who want to know more about how this has impacted us and how we can move on our journey to healing. So it's going to be at UF Extension Campus, 1010 McDuff Avenue, in partnership with University of Florida Extension Campus, in partnership with Show Hope, in partnership with Flagler College, in partnership with the KPICD and Texas Christian University. And we have been graced to have literally the world's leading voices, right, on trauma-informed care through this pedagogy called TBRI as one of the guest speakers. So Darren...
Hold on. How do they register?
I got it. So they can go to my website, marcdickersonenterprises.com.
Hold on a second. How do you spell Mark?
M-A-R-C. Mark with a C, Dickerson. Thank you, Dr. Nahshon Nicks. You're so thoughtful. Because most people will put a K on there, right?
Yeah, because I need them
important.
there. I need them there.
Thank you.
Somebody's watching this right now. They heard what you said about the family from adopting from Uganda. They heard what you said about your personal story.
Absolutely.
They heard what you said about the family dynamics. I eat, sleep, breathe this stuff and trying to find ways to help us win. Then you said that this is not a case study about black folks. This is case support for black folks that may not get the information in real time to even apply the information
100%.
that's out there. Because the book says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. All right, and thank you for being a prophetic voice that ain't keeping it to yourself, but you're making this accessible to the community. Tell my people how they can register for this event on October 17th. What time is it? How many days is it?
Yeah, thank you. It's at 8 a.m., 8 to 2. It's a one-day intensive, and the seating is limited. The tickets are $25. You can go to Eventbrite and search for The Shepherd's Table. Eventbrite, The Shepherd's Table. Or you can visit my website, Marc with a C, DickersonEnterprises.com. Click on that link, and you can come, and it'll give you the link to register for Eventbrite. Again, it's $25. The seating is limited. If you don't have the $25, no worries. We have scholarships, but we want people to know that this information is valuable, and we want to start this conversation.
What would your targeted audience look like if you said, this is our targeted audience, you need to be in the place?
Great question. So initially, it will first of all be black clergy, pastors, and clergy men and clergy women. Secondly, black business owners, people who deal with front-facing, deal with other people. So black business owners, black community influencers, people with influence in the community, right? And you can see I'm targeting leaders, people who have a voice and have an audience, who would challenge their thoughts about how they interact with other people. And maybe their challenge, maybe their diving into this will become an on-ramp for their staff to get involved as well. But it's also open to parents, students. It's open to the public, right? I will say, even though it's open to the public's voice is not the voice of the public. I just want to be clear. Anybody can come, but the voice that will be highlighted will be the voice of black and brown people. The struggle will be for black and brown. And that's not to be othering, and I don't know how to say that in any other way. But we purposely did this because this conversation is happening in other areas with intentionality and millions of dollars being put behind it.
So, and then from a very simple perspective, right? You go to Walmart, right? They have ethnic foods.
They do.
And nobody's upset about that. And I'm not upset about that. But when we start looking at ethnic counsel, ethnic therapy, like as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Not eat and drink, but if the grocery store has figured out a way to profit off of ethnic specific meals based on where you come from in the world, and we haven't had these opportunities to be exposed to this type of information. Give them some of the individuals who will be on your panels and guest speakers for October 17th to help create that sense of urgency.
Great question. So once again, one of the leading voices, a black man, a brother who travels the globe teaching this content. His name is Darren Jones. Dr. Darren Jones will be one of our key speakers. One of our very own, right from Jacksonville, Katrina Taylor with Duval County Public Schools. She's a behavioral science specialist with the school, and she'll be one of the guest speakers. Dr. Naida Ewan from FSCJ, Reverend Dr. Naida Ewan, she's going to host the panel. And on our panel, we have Paul Bullock, who's a student at Fuller University. We have Tyree Williams, who's a TBRI practitioner. We have Latrina Dowdell of the 32209 experience, who's doing the work in the community. She's going to be on there. We have Dr. Nahshon Nicks is going to be on the panel. And other voices that are going to really bring some value to the conversation are going to be there.
What time does it start?
8 a.m.
All right. And then what day of the week is this?
It's on a Friday. Free lunch. Lunch is provided. Breakfast is provided. Everything, all we need are people who are interested in this conversation in the seats.
All right. And then once again, for $25, that's McDonald's and Wendy's.
Yeah.
Breakfast and lunch.
Not Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A.
Matter of fact, see, people with TBRI, we don't even know where Chick-fil-A at.
Right.
We're going to protest Chick-fil-A. We ain't got no Chick-fil-A's in our neighborhood. What are you talking about? All right, I'm done. I'm going to pull back. I digress. But the moral of the story is it's a very small investment. I know when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, the guest speaker came in and he says, I know your education cost you. And it was very expensive. However, ignorance will cost you far more. And for $25,
Yes, sir.
this is a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
And then from just a everyday guy, he told me bought sense is better than told sense. Because if somebody's telling you something, it's because it's typically too late. You know what I mean? But if you paid for it, you would have got it early.
That's good stuff.
So it's just a way to kind of like just frame stuff to help create a sense of urgency, because a lot of times folks don't even know they're in danger or that there is healing out there. There are solutions out there, some methods, some techniques, some practices, and then once again, research that has been done to help counter some of these destructive behaviors or counterproductive. And so these are some of the things that I really want to get behind. Call out your website one more time. Call out the name of the Shepherd's Table and how they can register for this event. Because somebody may be watching and a senior pastor may say, hey, I can't make it, but my associate ministers or my associate pastors can come in my stead, and I need them there to bring this back home to the church.
You know, and I'm so glad you said that. So I'm going to call it the website again, but I want to just lean into that, because one of the sources, and this is just real, of the continued trauma in the black community is the local church. And it's not because we want to be, but the local church is also an institution. That is a system that has also been traumatized. And when systems have been traumatized and people who run those systems are traumatized, you can only do what you know to do. And so when we are trying to help people work through things and, correct certain behaviors, and we as leaders become behavior modification dealers versus let's get to the root of this, we unknowingly perpetuate trauma. And the thing about trauma is, it doesn't matter if you're doing it knowingly or unknowingly, the impact is the exact same. So pastors, I am encouraging pastors to send their leaders, their kids ministers, their youth pastors, their worship pastors, their family pastors, their counselors, send somebody to get this information and bring it back to your home on October the 17th at 8 a.m. at 1010 McDuff Avenue at the UFIFAS Extension Campus. $25. Go to my website, marcdickersonenterprises.com. Click the link, register, or go to Eventbrite, search for the Shepherd's Table, click the link, register. We can't wait to see you there.
Wow. And thank you for calling out the credentials of the individuals that are going to be featured speakers, panelists, also highlighting the sense of urgency when it comes to being trauma-informed. And then I want to trail back to the beginning of the conversation. You said that they were seeing behaviors that they know that they weren't modeling in the child from Uganda. And that's not a knock on Uganda. Like I said, Sharaka Holly out of California was going for state funding for predominantly black youth, but he couldn't say black. So in his creativity, he came up with children or families that come from families that were conquered, colonized, or enslaved, typically dealt with these situations.
Oh, wow.
So after he called out conquered, colonized, or enslaved,
We know it was.
then, because like I said, it's almost like you have to, and that's why I'm big on politics. Dr. Barbara Sizemore said that politics is the management of resources to help ensure the survival of a people. And my thing is, I'm proud to be an American. But however, people can only perform to the level that they've been prepared, which is something that you're also saying. I'm just saying it a different way.
Absolutely.
So when we start looking at the preparation and the performance, uh, if all we're good at is hitting each other on a football field, or hitting each other in a cage, or hitting each other in a boxing ring, we looking for somebody to hit, because to the man who's only two is a hammer, every problem is a nail.
A nail.
So, and hurt people hurt people. So when is this healing thing supposed to take place? So October 17th, $25, the Shepherd's Table on Eventbrite. If you follow me and you believe in the ministry that God has given me, I need you to be there. If you follow me and you see the work that we're doing with the youth, I need you to be there. You said, obviously, we want to go for those who are in those leadership, managerial positions or pastoral positions, but he's also opening it up to the general public.
100%.
However, when you come, please come to hear from those who actually have time and experience with these particular practices, and you're hearing it firsthand. And like I said, I can't stress this more than what I am, but I want the healing to begin. I want to see families whole. I want to see communities whole. And I believe that God wants us to work together.
Mm-hmm.
I want to call out this scripture and see what you have to say.
Okay.
Matthew 11:28. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Obviously, that's a paraphrase. What does that say to you?
It says so much. So when Jesus says, "Come to me," that's the concept of connection. Mm-hmm. When you talked about how impunitive systems, or the way we have dealt with the tip of the iceberg behaviors, is we disconnect or we push people away. So much so we tell kids to go to timeout, right? And that's disconnection. But Christ is saying, "Come to me, reconnect with me, a source of wholeness, a source of healing. All you that have been traumatized, burdened, heavy laden," and the promise is on the other side of that, in this area of deep connection, you will find rest for your soul, right? So I think, and that's not the only scripture, there's so many scriptures that point out Jesus Christ was concerned about traumatized people.
All right, so you brought something to my attention. God bless his soul, Jordan Davis. He was murdered here in Jacksonville years ago with the music incident. I was there when his remains were flown from Jacksonville, Florida, to Atlanta, where they laid his remains to rest with his father and mother, Lucy Macbeth, right? Pastor Marc, he was, and his remains were in this big white box. On the side of that white box, it read, "Handle with care." Mm-hmm. My commitment to those that God has placed in my hands is not to handle them with care when they're dead, but handle them with care while they're alive.
Can I ask you a question, Dr. Nicks? So the question is, do we know what that means to handle people with care? I would submit it goes beyond being kind. It goes beyond being nice. There are tools, there are things that we need in our psychological and emotional toolbox to know how to handle people with care. My mom and my dad, their lineage, care to them looked like a belt and a switch, and that was care for them. So care is subjective. That was how they cared for me. They had no idea that what they were doing was re-traumatizing. They were exacerbating inbred trauma, trauma passed down, which is called epigenetic trauma, which we in the religious world call generational curses. But these scientifically proven that our brains are really rewired based on the types of experiences we've had in the first 12 months of our lives. So when you say handle with care, I know you and you're that kind of man. My question is, are we equipping people with the tools to not just handle people with care the way they think care is, but to know what it means to honor life and to handle people with care? And
similar situation, my and I'm not knocking my upbringing or my parents.
Yeah, me neither.
But
It is what it is.
there were some extension cords that were disconnected. You hear me? I don't know why. I'm just saying we could have just had a nice long talk.
No, sir.
But my father, who raised me, would say this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. Then why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? If it's hurting you more than it's hurting me, why are you doing this? But once again, people can only perform to the level that they've been prepared.
That's it.
And I want to be very clear. I am not shunning my parents. I believe they did the best they could based on the information that they had to work with. And working through that, when we look at different cultures and different situations, those tools, we definitely need to have them. Those techniques, we definitely need to have them to keep bringing them out. I want to call out 2 scriptures, and I wanted to see what you say about this. Job 14:1. A man born of a woman, days are but a few and full of trouble. Mm-hmm. John 14:1. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye who believe in God, believe also in me. That's Jesus talking. What is the comparison and contrast to you based on TBRI?
So Jesus saying, let not your heart be troubled. If you believe in God, believe also in me. And the other one was a man born of a woman is of a few days, but full of trouble.
Full of trouble.
So I think the significance or the thing that kind of runs through both of those is this concept of trouble. This concept of, we call that contradiction. Mm-hmm. In the TBRI world, we call that the rub, the contradiction.
Well, let's rub it out there. Come on, let's get this. Let's get these things out.
It's the contradiction.
Yeah.
It's the things that we deal with. The thing about trouble is...
He said rub, like the scrub board, not the washing machine. Keep going, keep going.
Contradiction, man. And so the thing about troubles are, we are born... Mm-hmm. First of all, I could go so many places with that, because even being born...
It's traumatic.
It's traumatic. And our trouble, okay, but we can go before that. Mm-hmm. Before birth.
Mm-hmm. Take us out of darkness and bring us into the light. Come on.
Before birth, there's also trauma. Just say the man that is born of a woman, say that woman came from a troubled background. Say she had a rough pregnancy. Say she...
Come on, Jabez.
Come on, man. So we could go there if we wanted to, right? But just say, as the fetus is connected to the parent, the mother, whatever she ingests, whatever she takes in, whatever she smells, whatever comes into her being, also goes into this other being. Mm-hmm. So a man born of a woman is of many troubles in a few days. And before he's born of a woman, may also be exposed to high levels of trouble. And those days can be even more tumultuous based on what happened pre-birth, in vitro, when the baby comes out. So born of trouble. And so, yeah, man, I just think those 2 scriptures have this concept of trouble baked in them. Now, what I don't believe, excuse me, is that we just come to Christ or we come to this spiritual enlightenment and then our troubles are over. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. I believe that is a shallow understanding of being rescued from trouble, right? I think a part of the beauty of walking these things out with Christ is the fact that he allows things to be ruptured so that he can repair them. He allows things to be dysfunctional. It's not his perfect will, but he allows things to happen so that he can show that care and bring that repair. There's a concept in TBRI called rupture and repair. And there's a phrase that says, it's better to rupture and repair than to never have ruptured at all.
I need that to be a soundbite. I need that soundbite. I need that. I need you. We got to run that back.
Okay.
Rupture and repair. When I get asked to go speak at funerals and homegoing services, the first thing I say is, Let's get rid of any fantasy that we had about our loved one. And then now we can grieve properly. Mm-hmm. Whatever he or she was not, she wasn't. Mm-hmm. And whatever he or she was, she was. We can't change the good or the bad, but at this time, we're going to highlight the good.
That's right.
I can't put them in heaven. I can't put them in hell, but we're going to celebrate this life.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know why people ask me to eulogize their loved ones, because I ain't putting them there. I ain't putting them there either. But we're going to find the good and highlight that.
Yeah.
At least he was consistent. Yeah. My daddy drunk every day.
Yeah. Consistency.
But imagine if he was consistent with this. Yeah, then he would have been that. And now you have that opportunity to do it. Rupture and repair, I love that. And then when Jesus says, let not your heart be troubled, and my limited understanding and my limited knowledge of TBRI, when you say prophetic voice, I feel like that's where you come in, and the team that you have with these guest speakers, these panelists, to help those of us that have gone through these ruptures with that prophetic voice and tools and techniques to be able to bring closure or healing to that mind. And then I heard you say before about the rupture and repair. I think people are looking for pain replacement versus pain management, and maybe more pain management than what they like. For the Apostle Paul says, I sought the Lord 3 times to remove this. And then he responded with, my grace is sufficient. What does that say to you?
Man, I just preached that last week.
What?
But I won't go.
Where's your church at?
Great Dress, man. So I pastor the Amazing Life Church, one of the corner.
You got an amazing congregation, huh?
It's incredible.
It's an amazing congregation with some amazing people. Go ahead, keep going.
Traumatized people, but we're walking through it with them. We're at the corner of Phillips Highway, and
we walking through it with them. Yea, though I walk.
You can't get 2 pastors together on a podcast. It's gonna turn to a church service.
Go ahead. Keep going. So we're walking them through it.
Yeah, walking through it, man. And I think that we're seeing people's issues come up, right? We're seeing people's trauma come up, and as a leader, my heart has been tenderized. I've just learned that you're not going to preach certain things from people. You're not going to take certain things from people. When the Apostle Paul said, 3 times I sought the Lord for this, and he did not answer that. He didn't take that. What he did was he came alongside me with grace. And that's what we get to do. When you said helping people, and when you said, what's the word you said? You didn't say be nice. You said caring for people, right? That care looks like grace personified. That care can look like this. I know. That care can look like this. Changing the verbiage from what's wrong with you to what happened to you. That's care. That care is knowing when to talk.
Say that again. Instead of saying
what's wrong with you, care could look like saying what happened to you. Meaning everybody has a story. And that's why I said I believe that Christ was one of the best TBRI practitioners ever, because he was concerned about people's story. He was concerned about where they came from. He was concerned about how did you get here. He was concerned about what's the root issue. Let's go beneath the surface and let's really deal with what's going on. If we can get to that, these symptoms, these behaviors, these communal behaviors, this violence over time will diminish the more we start dealing with this stuff right here. But it takes time. This is the part that most systems, most communities, most people, most pastors and most churches don't have the capacity to do, is deal with the time it takes. Because this is what, can I be honest? This is what we would say back in the day, Pastor Nahshon Nicks. You ever been to a store and you saw a non-black parent with their child, and the non-black parent with their non-black child seemingly was just letting their child just go crazy in the store and throw fits and run all over the place and have meltdowns? Mm-hmm. And what would we say in our own minds, whether we say it out loud or not?
Oh, well, you need to pop them.
All they need.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
Yeah, that's all they need.
Because we've been conditioned that this fixes this, and it does not. Mm-hmm.
So we need to let them just run through the store?
Sometimes. Because, see, you won't get me into running could very well be a survival technique. something has triggered, something has popped off. That's where the question comes in. Not what's wrong with you, not why you're being so bad. What happened? And it takes time. What happened? What am I seeing? What is this behavior speaking to me? What is the violence in our black community speaking to me? What is the lack of, what is the low graduation rate? What's the low birth mortality, the high birth mortality rate? What's the low income? What's the, subpar insurance? What are these things saying? I know we got to go, but what are these things saying? What are these behaviors saying? And if we can slow down and bring that grace piece and ask that question, what happened? We can find out.
All right. I'm going to give you an opportunity to maybe say or answer a question that I failed to ask due to time restraints and or just lack of wherewithal. But I need, if you have any closing remarks, I do need you to give that call to action one more time for folks to get there on October 17th.
Absolutely. So October 17th is the first of its...
Speak to that. That's your camera right there.
Okay, sweet. October 17th, the first of its kind, the Shepherd's Table, a conversation about hope and healing in black and brown communities. This event is for pastors, for leaders, non-clergy, business owners, community influencers, to be in a space to have this conversation about how do we help, how do we use our influence to help people heal. October 17th, 8 a.m. at 1010 McDuff Avenue at the UF Extension Campus. $25. You can get there by going to my website, markwiththecdickersonenterprises.com, or you can go to Eventbrite and search for the Shepherd's Table, click that link and register. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. This is how we start any sparring session in martial arts.
Okay.
If Pastor Marc beats me, this is how we end that sparring session. If Dr. Nicks beats Pastor Marc, this is how we end that sparring session. We just touched 6 times in less than 10 seconds. And that's a form of care to me.
That's big.
Because there's so many, and it's not just all men, but black men, who haven't had anybody reach out to them one time.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, man.
And when I see you, I get high enthusiasm. And then every now and again, when I go through the grocery store, Walmart, being able to see like your son, 6'3", 6'4", come back and say, I remember you, or I remember what you did, or I thank you for whatever you did for me when I was younger, and you're able to make that contact, that's like $1 million. And that's the type of care that I want for all of our sons and our daughters.
Yes, sir.
Is to know that you have competent elders and leaders who are taking on that accountability for what we could not do or what we were not prepared to do. We're working through it.
Yes.
But we need them just as much as they need us.
Absolutely.
And that's what I share with this son. We count on you to graduate from FAM. Yeah, and let your daddy know what you need, and I'll send you a little $50.
Yes, sir.
Yes. To listen, audience, thank you for staying tapped in, tuned in, and leaned in. Phenomenal episode with Pastor Marc Dickerson. Please follow him on all social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I'll make sure his name is typed out at the bottom of the screen. As I say, knowledge is power. Knowledge of self is powerful, but knowledge of God is a source of all power. I love you, and God bless you. Thank you again for coming out.